Welcome back to another shocking courtroom episode of Lockdown 23 and 1. That's right, shocking it is. We got a former Major League Baseball player being sentenced to prison today. I know, we all look up to them MLB players, man, almost as though they can never do wrong. But they can. They're human just like anyone else. But the defendant today is going to be sentenced for murder. Seems like he tried to kill his in-laws for some money. If I were to guess, back in his rookie days, that money was flowing like the salmon at Capistrano. When the milk ran dry, he decided, hey, why not kill my in-laws and just take all their money? And I'm going to break down a little bit more on this individual before we jump into the courtroom. But first, as always, if you're new to the channel and enjoy all things lockup and crime related, then this is absolutely where you need to be. Hit that like, subscribe, notification bell before you leave, and check out my beautifully assorted playlist with many more videos for you to start watching today. The article I'll be reading from today says ex-Major League pitcher Dan Serafini was sentenced to prison for the 2021 murder of his father-in-law and attempted murder of his mother-in-law. The jury concluded that Serafini's actions were deliberate and premeditated when he shot his in-laws Robert Gary Spohr and Wendy Wood at their home in Lake Tahoe following serious financial disputes. Wood survived, but she later died from self-inflicted injuries. Very sad story, but it continues saying he is a monster that knows no moral boundaries and has zero reservations about taking lives to benefit himself, Serafini's sister-in-law said during his sentencing Friday. Over a course of a 6-week trial, jurors heard about a heated disputes over financial obligations and communications leading up to the murder. The former MLB first-round draft pick was found guilty in July of waiting inside his in-law's home with a gun before fatally shooting father-in-law and gravely injuring his mother-in-law. Serafini and his lover, Samantha Scott, were arrested 2 years after the incident. But that's about the bulk of it, ladies and gentlemen. Now we're going to jump into the courtroom and witness what the judge has in store for, like his sister-in-law said, a monster.
In this court's view, Mr. Serafini did have due process with this court, both before, during, and after the trial. I've actually never seen a trial like this in which the jury verdict came back last summer, and it's been so long to get here.
Wow.
Mr. Serafini had vigorous advocacy at all levels of his representation. To me, both sides were vigorous and skilled advocates, and that is the best form in which for us to find the truth. In this court's view, the verdict was not based on bias, it was not based on unbalanced power that I've heard or a violation of due process. It was based on the evidence. This jury was instructed to presume him innocent and to make a decision based on the evidence. And this court's view that that was done by our jury in this case. Mr. Serafini, you mentioned some comments that this court had about you. And I don't want those to be misconstrued. It wasn't this court's assessment of your character as a man or as a person. I will distress the conduct that you've been convicted of momentarily. But take a look at the context of what it was being delivered. This court was adjudicating whether or not there should be a new trial motion based on ineffective assistance of counsel. One of the reasons alleged was that you were given bad advice by counsel not to testify. My characterizations were that you came across as those things, which you've acknowledged. Those things are material in assessing credibility. There was a rational basis for the attorneys to give you advice not to take the stand.
Now the video started off with the judge already fully into a topic. And I believe the judge is addressing all the things the defendant is bringing up to the court on why he deserves a new trial. And the judge is just breaking down exactly why he doesn't. He was completely and fully represented to the max.
That doesn't mean that the assessment of the evidence by this court or by the jury was based on that, or based on bias. You didn't testify. With respect to the sentence that the court will impose. I do hope that you have time for reflection. I do hope that you become a better person and help others while you are incarcerated. What I heard from you this afternoon, though, was not reflection, it was deflection in this court's view. What I heard from you was all about you and not enough about the victims that died in this case.
I like this judge. He's very
When I
laid
think
back.
about a sentence like this and how the court should go forward, I'm first mindful that in homicide trials, we don't really get to learn too much about the victims. It's really all about the conduct and what happens. And so I first want to say that I appreciate the folks that were here on behalf of Wendy and Gary to inform everybody here, including the court, about who they were as individuals. I heard things like they're adventurous, love their community, their dog, they should be here. I feel that they were represented by all of you that spoke and addressed this court, and their presence was felt by your presence. So thank you for that.
Wow.
The impact letters that I read addressed and described very appropriately that this offense, and I'm speaking to the conduct, was horrendous, inhuman, brutal, pure evil, chilling. Someone said today, a senseless act of targeted hate.
Yep.
They stated correctly that the depravity of the defendant, who was convicted of this crime, he directly killed one person, ultimately led to the death of another. He destroyed a family, devastated a community around them, causing irreparable pain and anguish. Mr. Serafini, I didn't just read the impact statements of the others. I did read statements that were provided to this court, and I'll let you know that Davies' statement had an impact on me. And it's a tragedy in terms of what's occurred to everybody that's been involved, not just, and particularly Wendy and Gary, but to the whole community and family involved.
I concur.
This court, in going forward, recognizes the irreparable pain and anguish. I intend to impose a sentence legally required and fitting for the crime. As to count one, the crime of 187, with a special finding of that being in the first degree, finding true, with a special circumstance finding of lying in wait under 190.2A15, and in the commission of a first degree burglary, found true under 190.2A17. The court hereby sentences you to life without the possibility of parole.
Hell
I will
no.
note, Madam Clerk, for our records,
Jeez. Smell
the
it.
jury's finding of commission of a first degree burglary,
Smell it.
that was incorrectly listed on the verdict form and also the minutes as 190.2A15, which is the same subsection described for lying in wait. It should have been A17. So I want the record to correctly reflect the section that reflected the jury's finding in substance. 5.3D, the finding of true was made by our jury. The court understands that the court has discretion to strike this enhancement under H of that subdivision. Under 1385, this court declines to stay, strike, or dismiss that due to the nature of the offense, harm that was caused, and such a finding would endanger public safety and not be in the interest of justice. This court finds and sentences him to 25 years to life, and that will be consecutive.
Oh.
For count two, a
God.
violation of 664-187,
Consecutive.
special finding of that being in the first degree by our jurors.
Consecutive means he's gonna have to do the life sentence, then, pretty much come back to life and do another life plus 25. There's many reasons on why a court will give someone so much time after they just got life. But one of them is, what if he happens to beat the one of these charges later on down the road off of some kind of loophole? He wasn't truly innocent. Well, good for him. He beat the first life sentence. Now he has to go and try to fight the second one. Get it? It's kind of like, a security to make sure that, he never leaves prison. At the same time, though, like I said, there's other reasons. It's a formal process. You got to be sentenced for all the crimes you're charged with, regardless if you've already gotten life, right? So this guy, if I were to guess, is going to be taking that long ride into penitentiary straight to the pine box.
Special finding also that was true. This court hereby sentences Mr. Serafini to life in prison.
Ooh, another life.
For the sentence for the finding, special finding under 1222.53D, that the jury found true. The court again understands that the court has discretion to strike this enhancement under H. Under 1385, this court declines again to stay, strike, or dismiss that enhancement due to the nature of the offense, the harm caused. Such a finding would endanger public safety and not be in the interest of justice. I make particular reference to Adrian Spore's statements about her mother and the pain and anguish that was caused from her being shot during the offense. The court has a discretion to run counts 1 and 2 concurrent and declines to do so, meaning that these are separate victims, considering the factors within 4.425. Therefore, count 1, finding of life without the possibility of parole, as well as 25 years to life for the firearm enhancement, shall be consecutive to count 2, which was the life sentence for the crime of 664-187, plus the enhancement of 25 years to life. That shall be fully consecutive. For count 3, violation of 459 first, a triad of 2, 4, and 6 years. The court
this guy is getting so much smoke.
Imposes a middle term. There had also been a special finding of a non-participant present at the time. For 1222.5A, the court also imposes a middle term of 4 years. That's firearm enhancement for the first-degree burglary, accompanying that count. The court imposes an additional term of 5 years for the great bodily injury done upon Gary, and also under 1222.7A, 3 years, and those are also imposed for the great bodily injury finding jury found against Wendy. The court understands as to those last 3 enhancements that the court has discretion to strike those enhancements. Under 1385A, this court declines to stay, strike, or dismiss those due to the nature of the offense, the harm caused, and that such finding again would endanger public safety and not be in the interest of justice. I have, in all of my findings on 1385, considered the defendant's lack of record and other mitigating factors set forth in the statements about him that have been submitted on his behalf. The court will, for count 3, as well as all the enhancements, all that term that I have imposed, which goes to 16 years, the court will impose, but stay that term under 654.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't matter if you're a former Major League Baseball pitcher or not. You can still get that smoked out L note to the penitentiary. Crazy to think this dude didn't care about nothing but money. But you know what? That paper can get you a lot of things. And that's what people be thinking, and that's where the temptation comes to play. They ain't got nothing else to lose, man. Might as well go for the gusto. They end up getting caught, and they sit in that cell, and they realize, man, I really had everything. All I really needed was a flat screen, some grass, and a tree to hug. Refrigerator to open anytime I want. Well, he ain't gonna be getting none of that anymore. He might be hugging something, but it definitely ain't gonna be no tree. Do not miss up on the finer things of life. Believe it or not, the finer things are the little things, and you don't really recognize it until they're stripped from you. Learn to enjoy life with or without money is what I'm trying to say. It's beautiful out there. Way more beautiful than sitting in a concrete box for the rest of your life. Until the next time, ladies and gentlemen, y'all be easy, be safe, and more importantly than anything, stay free.